Today we're going to find out some more about What a Jolly Street. And part of our story is going to be about Timmy Carter. He lives in house number 4 on What a Jolly Street. Today's January the 2nd, so we're going to read the story on January the 2nd. The name of the street was really Trufflescootums Boulevard. Nobody called it that, though, because the street wasn't long. It was very short, and 22 children lived on it. 22! Imagine that! Where 22 children live and play and yell and shout and ride their tricycles and wagons and bikes and play with their dogs and cats and rabbits and turtles and monkeys and parrots. Well, you just can't call a street like that Trufflescootums Boulevard, can you? So nobody did. When they came to that block, they always smiled and said, "My, what a jolly street!" And pretty soon, that was the name of it. What a Jolly Street. The day after New Year's, all of the 22 children were outside playing. Even little Polly, the Carter baby, was in her walker, waving her blue mittens and shouting, "Hi, hi, hi," at the snowflakes drifting down on her plump red cheeks and little button nose. Her brother Timmy giggled and giggled, watching her. "You can't catch snowflakes, Polly Carter," he said, "but I can. Watch me, Polly, watch me." Timmy bounced up and down, flapping his arms like a little red rooster. He clapped his mitten hands together on one snowflake after another, but when he peeked, there was never any snowflake there. "Well, what do you know? I can't catch a snowflake myself," Timmy chuckled. It was such a joke on him that he tipped his head back and laughed out loud. Then he shut his mouth very suddenly. "Why, I did catch a snowflake," he cried. "I caught lots of them in my mouth." And that's the whole story for today. And we found out in this story that Timmy had a little bit of a problem. You know, you really can't have a story without having a problem. And the problem that Timmy had was, did you hear what the problem was? He wanted to catch a snowflake. And he tried to catch one, and he tried, but every time he clapped his hands together and opened them up, the snowflake was gone. But finally, at the end of the story, Timmy was able to solve his problem. He was able to catch some snowflakes in his mouth. So when we read the stories, these are separate stories. They are short stories, and so all of them are going to have some little problem that the boys or girls in the story have to solve. Another thing we found out in the story, another part of the setting, is that there were 22 children on the street, and we found out just a little bit. Sometimes you can find out some things about the setting just by looking at the pictures. I don't know if you can see that very well, but one of the little girls has on a skirt. In fact, 2 of them do. And look at the cover of the book. See how the children are dressed? And so sometimes just by looking at pictures in storybooks, we can tell some things about the setting. We can tell the time period sometimes of where a story takes place. This book was actually written in 1955, and boys and girls dressed differently back then. The girls almost always wore dresses, and so you won't see any pictures of girls in this book, I don't think, wearing pants. I think I was in junior high before I was allowed to wear pants to school, although I had them to play in. And so this story's set in a different time. The children really haven't changed. Our clothes have changed, and the things that we do have changed, but children today are pretty much like children have always been, except for one big thing. There's something else you won't see in this book. And that is, you won't see any screens of any type, because children back in those days didn't have, a lot of families didn't have television. If they did, there wasn't very much on to watch, and so the children in this book are going to spend a lot of time playing outside, playing with their friends, riding their bikes, and doing all kinds of fun things outside. So that's something we're going to see as we go through the different stories. Well, that's all for today. Love you.